What is up, everybody? Steven here, along with my good friend Sean McGee, and today we're going to be talking about some soccer, which is not something a lot of people in America really like to talk about, but we're going to do it anyway.
What do you mean it's not what people? I hope it's what people like to talk about.
In America, I'm saying. It's not the most popular American sport.
Sure,
That's my only thing.
It is probably the fastest growing sport in America, besides lacrosse.
You think lacrosse is
Yeah, I read a study a couple
up
of
and
years
growing?
ago that besides soccer, lacrosse is the fastest growing sport in the U.S. But that's not really what we're talking about right now. That just came up because you said something about it. But
we witnessed, what was it, the first Bundesliga game or today? Or
No, it was
just one
that
of
was
the new ones.
that
just
was
came
one of the
out?
newer ones. The first one was probably a couple days ago. I think one of the first ones was actually. It's actually good you asked that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one was Dortmund versus Schalke, which those are two rivalries, and the rivalries between them is so great. Because Dortmund, I guess, is more middle class, wealthier family fans, and Schalke fans are like they worked in coal mines and things like that.
Right.
And like only like 2 years ago, the last coal mine was like shut down in Schalke. So it's like hardworking,
Right.
lower class.
Like there's what league is it? I'm blanking because we had to do a project on it for one of our classes.
Yeah.
We did on rivalries.
Probably like
it was another
it's
soccer.
Serie A.
It was
Serie A, probably.
Boca Raton, and I forget exactly which league it was, but it was similar like that. Like one side had fans that
Yeah.
were higher class.
They clash against each
and
other.
the other side was more the working
But
class.
that's sort of like Dortmund and Schalke.
Yeah,
and
that's why I was relating it.
That's
'cause
why
it
their
reminded me
fans
of
clash.
that.
If you can find the names of the soccer team, I would probably be able to know. But I don't know. I can't remember. I don't really know what you're saying.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
But anyway, it's weird. I'm bringing up the fans is because the fans at those between a Dortmund and a Schalke game.
There was none.
There's I'm saying there's none, but like when there is and it's a normal rivalry, it's like insane and like the
yeah.
atmosphere is awesome.
Yeah, soccer games, especially in Germany and England, are some of the best atmospheres to go to.
Germany, England,
Spain as well. You're right.
Italy.
Mhm,
Italy's
Italy,
very
Italy, yes.
hardcore.
Italy's
What
very
you're
hardcore.
talking about, the project Steven was talking about, I did a project. I did Lazio and Roma.
Mm-hmm.
And those two fans, it's like Rome. They both claim to be the soccer team of Rome, of the
Right.
city of Rome. So the fans fighting against our team's the city of Rome, and then
Just
they
like-
share
just like
they
in New
share
York.
the same stadium. So they're like,
Right.
no, like this is our
Right,
stadium.
it's
Blah
like the
blah.
Jets and Giants,
So
exactly.
it's-
And now the Chargers and Rams.
Yeah, and what's so crazy about their rivalry is literally it's so tense. Like sometimes there's like stabbings before the
Oh,
games.
soccer fans.
I mean,
get
it's crazy sometimes between those guys. And like Lazio fans are more in like the outskirts of towns, like rural areas a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, or like suburban. But like Roma fans, like in the inner city and stuff like that. That's what they say. Like they're the true team of Rome and,
Yeah.
and things like that. And like those are the type of things about fans and why fans clash and how rivalries really start that people don't necessarily see. They just think about the game on the
Right.
pitch,
But
but
they
it goes
don't-
way
yeah.
beyond the game on the pitch. That creates these rivalries.
Right.
Um,
That's something about soccer is that the
That's
rivalries
just so great.
just goes so much
and you
deeper.
don't really see that in MLS sports. And there's a couple good rivalries in the MLS. Don't get me wrong. But like in other sports like football, like there's rivalries stuff, but there's not like that deep passion like rooted like
Right.
what's happened in Europe and with those soccer teams since like the 1850s or 1890s when they get founded or things like that, or early 1900s. So you don't really see those type of rivalries over in Europe that you do, or over in America that you do see in Europe. But kind of going back to, I mean, I love talking about that and the fans because MLS has nothing really like that.
Yeah.
But besides, I think Portland and Seattle's a good rivalry, and I've been to a New York City FC Red Bulls game, and that's a new one.
That's a newer
but
rivalry,
it's pretty good. It's pretty good atmosphere. Definitely better than just a regular game in New York City FC, and I've been to a bunch of those. But going back to Bundesliga, which is
Right.
actually probably the only one playing besides what was the other? Oh my god, I should have written this down before I started. There was the other country that just didn't believe coronavirus was real. It was started with a B too. It started oh my god, I can't remember, but there was a country.
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
It
Yes,
wasn't
it was.
actually?
Yes, it was Bulgaria, and they like they're either like their president or king. I think it's a president. I think their president was like, no, this isn't real. Like they just kept their league and like their whole country operating as normal.
Right.
Now I don't know if they've shut down since then, But I remember like they were still getting people to go to their
They might all
leagues.
be dead now.
No, Steven, are you kidding me? But
Joking, of course.
they were getting like thousands of people still to come to the games. Is the last
Yes.
thing I've read. And I haven't really kept up with it. I didn't remember the country, but that was the only other league that I thought kept going. And the Bundesliga was the first real, like, one of the top flight leagues
Right.
that really started back up again.
And now we are kind of starting to see that other leagues, sports leagues in general, have started opening up. We talked a little bit about in one of our previous podcasts about the NBA possibly opening their doors in 6 to 8 weeks, and now a report came out recently saying the Premier League in England could potentially resume their season in June, but their season could still end a little early than usual. So
Premier League?
The Premier League, yes.
You know what, Steve? I really didn't want to talk about the Premier League yet, but I mean, let me sidetrack you for 2 minutes
Okay.
here. I just want to say one more thing about Dortmund because he doesn't have my notes in front of him. So the other thing I just thought was funny, which I don't know how many Bundesliga games you've watched. I've been watching like all of them because that's what's new, and the thing I've learned is what I've missed, and I'm sure the people that are actually listening to this find out is just listening to commentators and the noises with soccer is one of the most relaxing things for me.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see if you guys like want to comment on this, to like the feelings that and the calmness that just hearing like the noises of soccer and commentators get, like that, what that brings out of you. I just think it's interesting because to me, I'm just like, it's like the most relaxing thing. I'm on the couch watching a soccer game, and maybe I'm on my phone a little bit, but just to have it in the background is amazing.
Right. Yeah.
And the other last thing I want to say is, it is so ironic. I was talking about it with my other friend who's a soccer fan. It's so they're wiping the soccer balls with like wipes and stuff like that, and they have the subs sitting 6 feet apart.
Right.
But then when you go onto the field, you could breathe on each other, you can sweat on each other, you can head the ball, which gets your sweat on the ball. Like it just, I mean, it's good. I guess they're taking those measures,
the precautions,
but I think it's more for show than actually doing something because. If they're on the field competing with each other, that's not what they're thinking about.
Right.
So, but let's go.
Now over to the Premier League. Now we're just gonna shift gears a little bit. So, in your opinion, I think it's very obvious who the winner of the Premier League is gonna be and going to be.
Who?
Oh, obviously Manchester City.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought too.
No, obviously Liverpool.
Yes.
Liverpool was on.
Did they only lose once?
Ticket. I think they only lost once.
And was it to
Watford?
Wolves? No, it was Watford. You're right. It was Watford. I wish it was Wolves. I really like the Wolves.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool to see.
Neves is my guy on that team.
But if the season ends early, does this go as an asterisk towards Liverpool's title?
No.
Do you think?
Because think of it this way. So what I've read is there's 92 matches left between all the teams, right? And I'm guessing each team has, let's just say 10 games left? Mm-hmm. Something roughly around that number, right?
Around there, yes.
So something around that number. You're telling me this Liverpool team that is like 27, 1 tie, and 1 loss is going to somehow give up a 15-point lead against Manchester City? It's something insane. They have like 80...
I don't even think Manchester City was in
No,
second.
I think it was...
I think because of what happened... No, because... Were they still? Because they lost some of their points because of the scandal.
Did they really?
Yes.
I didn't know they actually took points away.
And I think they dropped
but I think
the table.
I think they still were in second. The last table, I just saw a table. And I thought they were still in second.
I could be wrong, but I remember they lost
they're not.
Points for
They're definitely. What I realized was they were definitely not as close to Liverpool as I thought.
Yes.
Because Liverpool had like 82 points, and Manchester City was at like either high 50s or low 60s.
Yeah.
Which is that's 20 points away from Liverpool. So you talking about the
it's not even like Manchester City's losing a lot either.
Yeah.
Because they're a very talented team, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, they're not losing that. I think they've had 6 losses.
Maybe 5. Like, around that area. It's very, very small amount.
But you're talking about the asterisk. I don't think it puts an asterisk on the season.
Just because of how good they were doing before?
Because they would have won it. Let's be honest. I mean, it was insane. We've probably never seen anything like that really before.
Since Arsenal, the undefeated.
Maybe, probably since then. So them, if they go out and finish the season now, and they will still be first, obviously. I don't think it takes away from what they've done. It obviously hinders the emotion of like them working so hard, and then it's like, oh, there's a break and now we're working hard. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's like they worked that hard the whole season with no stopping, it's like, wow, we lost. Let's just say they lose another 2 times. Like we lost 3 times that whole season. We had one of the best seasons in Premier League history. Like that brings more emotion to it. But now, you know, you're saying like, oh, well, they had a break and they blah blah blah.
Right.
But like, I don't think it takes away from the fact of how good they were and how easily they beat opponents.
Right, because I know people have been saying kind of if they do resume sports leagues, there you might want to put a little asterisk by it because of everything that's
And
been
I think
going
it's
on.
different.
So that's
I
why.
think it's different with each situation too.
Right.
So like with Liverpool, I don't think there needs to be an asterisk there because they literally won it
Right.
already, right? Now going back to Bundesliga, Bayern Munich has a 4-point cushion on Dortmund,
Right.
on Borussia Dortmund, and that's a race people want to see finished out. Now, is there an asterisk on if let's just say Bayern Munich goes on and win? Is there an asterisk on Bayern Munich because maybe something happened to Dortmund where they couldn't do this or
Right.
that, or if Dortmund overtakes Bayern Munich, now is there an asterisk on them because Bayern Munich was affected by the coronavirus?
Right.
But at the same token, right? Every club in the world right now,
Is
or
facing
every
this,
team
yeah.
in the world now, is affected by coronavirus.
Right.
So all of them are dealing with some things of the coronavirus in their own way. So it's kind of weird to put an asterisk on one team that wins, but none of the other teams have an asterisk as
Right.
well, because they all have asterisks. Then, if that's
Right,
the case,
that's why I was asking because it's this huge debate now. Like teams are getting extra rest. So say, if for example, if the NBA doesn't restart, Kevin Durant could potentially come back from injury, and then for all you know, the Nets are one of the favorites to win the NBA
Well,
Finals.
we already talked about this
Obviously,
last
this
one.
is NBA, but I'm just saying.
yeah, we kind of talked.
Yes.
They wouldn't come back anyway, but I get your point.
Yes.
A player comes back that shouldn't have come back, who's well rested because of the thing, then it's hard not to say like, oh, there's an asterisk there. But every team had it. But at the same token, every team had the ability for a
Right.
player to get rest and come back at the same time. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Yes.
I don't think the asterisk thing is really. I think, in all honesty, and it's funny because we're media. I guess you could say we're media. It's just a media thing for
Yeah.
a talking point, and
Right.
and the talking heads love to do that and talk and make those type of
Hot
topics
takes.
up. Exactly. But Liverpool is far and beyond the asterisk point. They were blowing people away already, and the coronavirus, if it didn't happen, it wouldn't have stopped. No one's stopping it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think other things with the Premier League that I kind of want to touch on is definitely they talked about the June 12th or June 19th start, and it's looking more like the June 19th start. Is what I've read is that players, managers, and medical experts talked about it, and they think it's better to wait the extra week. So I think that's what we're going to see is a June 19th start for the Premier League, which would be awesome for soccer. Now
That would be awesome.
Now it's awesome for soccer, but who else is it awesome for?
The Champions League, no?
Yes,
I mean, I it
But I'm not
kind of
alluding
counts
to
under
that.
the soccer world
But the-
archetype. But
we can do a whole nother podcast of the logistics of how Champions Leagues is going to work because it's a mess really because with all the if clubs don't start at a time or if clubs cancel their seasons, logistics
also,
of who's going to
especially
get
after the
in.
suspension for one of the teams.
Well, Manchester City, yes.
Yeah, that's gonna cause a little bit of a change as well.
Absolutely. But my question was, who else wants it to start, right? Or who else does it benefit? It's the actual organizations and the Premier League.
Right.
So, if they don't broadcast the end of the season, the 92 other games, right? They're gonna lose 762 million pounds from the broadcast income.
That's
which
wild.
that's almost $1 billion or billion pounds, which, basically 760 million pounds is like $1 billion almost probably once you do the equivalent, whatever the ratio is.
Right. Yes.
But this is what's in it for the big clubs, the big leagues. I'm sorry,
Right.
You're talking about La Liga, Premier League, Bundesliga, Serie A.
Right.
That's the money they want, right? That's the money they need. Of course, they make money off ticket sales and merchandise stuff like that, but the broadcasting rights is what gives
huge,
what
yeah.
keeps them alive.
Because that's also
essentially.
advertisements and stuff like that as well.
Absolutely. So it's almost like I don't want to say like a tug and war, but it's like the Premier League. It seems like their players have been way more active in saying we want it to be totally safe when it comes back, and keep in mind that the organizations and the clubs need to make money. So it's like the tug of war. Like we got to get these guys back fast, but also it's got to be safe. And I think it's not just the Premier League dealing with that; it's everyone's dealing with that. But with the Bundesliga coming back, they're seeing like, okay, we can, almost every country really, and every country is different with the coronavirus outbreak and stuff like that. But every league is like Bundesliga's back, and they start to think that, okay, we're gonna come back soon, and then they can use the Bundesliga as a model for them to revamp and restart their seasons again, or not restart the seasons, but resume their seasons.
If by any bad luck stroke comes and say the Bundesliga people start getting cases of the coronavirus again, so just say
let's hope not.
Let's hope not. Obviously, we don't want that to happen.
Great job, Steven.
I apologize. Somebody's
knocking over cans.
Somebody's unempty spray can.
It is the basement. It is the basement.
It is the basement. Not all basements are clean. So
part of the benefits of doing this is that you don't see what it's like down here.
There's a reason we haven't done video yet. Anyway, where was I going with my point?
I honestly don't really know, to be honest with you. You gotta really remember that.
That. Oh boy.
But I can tell you that I can go on to another topic very, very interesting.
Yes, because this is going to be a huge point, because we know a big part of what soccer teams and soccer leagues do is relegation and what's the
promotion?
Promotion. Thank you.
You couldn't think of that word.
I couldn't think of that word. See, that's
what you couldn't think about. Anyway,
so,
a big part of it is promotion relegation.
So you'll have these these smaller leagues, like in the Premier League, in the English League, you have one in the English League 1, English League 2, and
which is I don't want to. Yeah. I'm trying to. So English League 1 is the 3rd division. English League 2 is the 4th division, and the English Championship is the 2nd division.
Yes.
And those leagues, honestly, the English Championship you could make the argument is more competitive than some of the 1st division leagues in other smaller countries, because they're all trying to get into the Premier League, which you can make the argument is the best league in the world. I think
it is.
I think La Liga is the best league in the world, but
well, you have two of the most historic and best teams ever, and that in La Liga, in Barcelona and Real Madrid.
And then I know it does get from those two staples, it does drop a little bit. It does
drop a little bit. Then you have like Atletico.
Yeah. Atletico.
Real Sociedad, are they in? They're
okay.
They're up there, right?
They're all right. But you're right. I think you can find more. I like the soccer, the style of soccer in La Liga.
Right.
But if you're talking about pure competition and one
level of play,
like, but minus out Liverpool, like Manchester City can be beat by a Watford, or Manchester City can be beat by an Aston Villa, even if they're in the relegation table, because on any given game, you can be beaten in the Premier League, and the same thing is said in all sports competitions. But it's like it's very rare you see Barcelona losing to Real Betis or something, a club like that of that nature. But going back to the leagues, the lower leagues in England.
In England.
It's just it almost breaks my heart in a sense that the coronavirus could take out a lot of these clubs, and we were just talking about how passionate fans are, especially in the English League 1 and League 2, which is the 3rd and 4th division, and especially the National League, which is actually the 5th division in England. A lot of these clubs
losing money.
Well, of course, all these clubs are losing money. But what's so unique, I guess not unique, but what these lower clubs survive off of are ticket sales.
Right.
And they don't get the broadcasting money that the Premier League does, or these first division teams, or first division leagues in other countries do. And so they rely heavily off these ticket sales and stuff they sell in the stadium and things of that nature. So it just came out recently that up to 10 teams in League 1 and League 2 could fold or become bankrupt because of the money issues of the coronavirus. Like I just said, ticket sales is a driving factor for them, and
which means, and if that happens, fans lose their favorite team and something they've been passionate about probably for their entire lives. They lose kind of that sports feeling of being in a sports town, that camaraderie, all coming together.
That's what makes
me
feel sad, because you and me are sports guys, and those lower division clubs, those fans come out every game, and every game is so important for them to get their club to the
Right.
promised land of the Premier League.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. And when you're in the English Championship, those fans are even insane. Now, I'll give you guys a really great documentary to watch if you have Amazon Prime. It's called Leeds United Take Us Home. Leeds United won the Premier League
years and years
ago. But it was a great 6-episode documentary. Leeds, they have a new owner of the team. He bought 100% of it. He brought in a new CEO, new manager, and players. He brought in players from it, and they messed it up at the end. I believe it was the 2018-2019 season. So it was the season before this that the documentary was on. Mm-hmm. And the first 2 teams in the championship get promoted to Premier League automatically.
Right.
And the 3 through 6 seed have to do playoffs. Mm-hmm. And then the finals in Wembley Stadium, usually in front of 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Which is so
Wembley is a huge
which
stadium
is so
in England.
amazing.
It's probably the stadium to go to in England. You could tell me if I'm wrong, but
yeah, no, absolutely.
I think that is the stadium to go to. That's where they have their international games in the NFL as well.
Yes, same thing, because they can hold so many people.
Mm-hmm.
But where was I going with that? Oh, so the documentary, they have to play a playoff game against Derby County, which Frank Lampard was the manager of, but now I believe he's the manager of Chelsea. And they go up 1-0 aggregate. And then they go home and they go up 2-0 in the middle of the game and they end up losing 4-3. And it was just the crushing defeat, knowing that they were this close. I'm using my fingers. You guys can't see this. So Steven's looking at me inches close to going
to the size of a penny's close
back to the Premier League. And it's just unfortunate. And those fans are just so loyal. In the documentary, you see the passion for the fans in the second division. It's starting to build a trend in America with USL Championship. They put it after, England Championship. There's no doubt about it. But the USL Championship, you see, there's starting to get some really passionate fans. And it sucks that America doesn't have promotion relegation. You don't even get me started on that. It's because MLS likes money, and you have to pay $150 million every time you get into MLS. And they like to have control. So. But that's probably a different podcast just for myself to rant.
Yes.
I'll just rant and rant and rant.
Yes, because I was thinking, what if we could kind of compare this to the G League? If for people that aren't really grasping the idea of what the whole soccer structure is, imagine you have the NBA league scored for every win you get 3 points. A tie you get a point, and a loss you get 0 points. And the points is one giant table, and the most points wins, least points. The 3 with the least points get sent down to the G League. So imagine that happening. So that would be like the Knicks going down and becoming a G League team, which they technically are.
But the thing in America, which if I can jump in, is that these owners and stuff, they don't even want to have the chance to see their team going to a lower level because they've invested this much money and stuff like that. That's the problem in America is the owners I'm not going to invest if I have a chance of being relegated.
Could you imagine, honestly, if the Knicks were to get relegated?
And
because
James
in New York
crazy.
and in New York market as well.
But also, I think it would make the fandom way better.
Oh yeah,
as well. But
it definitely
and
would.
Also, if we're going back to MLS, which is the realistic thing of promotion and relegation, it's also the MLS administrators or officers. They don't want to have, if they get promotion relegation, first of all, they don't get money for people buying into the league. And then second of all, then people are just going to start making USL League clubs for cheaper and then trying to make their way up instead of just going straight and paying to the MLS. Mm-hmm. So that's a big problem there in promotion relegation in this country. But I just want to go back to England and talk about that for a second if I can. So, I feel like we've been talking about, I feel for these teams and the fans especially, but, the players.
Especially when they work so hard to try to promote themselves up there.
And these, we glamorize the players in the Premier League and these other first division teams, but when you're talking about these players in the third and fourth and fifth divisions, they're playing for their livelihood as well, and we just took that, or not we, but coronavirus took that away from them. So, for example, one of the players in the fifth division, it's called the National League in England, he was talking about how, you only get, in the fifth division, you only get paid when you play the games. So most of these players are just jobless right now because there's no way for them to make money because coronavirus has hurt the economy as well as stopped their main way of making money. And then if you go to the third and fourth divisions of England, which is League One, League Two. Andy Holt, which is the chairman of League One, he said clubs could go out of business if they are forced to play without match day revenue. So that goes back to how I was saying that ticket sales is the most important.
Right.
Because the ticket sales is what gets them going, because they don't have the broadcasting revenue that the Premier League has.
Right.
And here's another interesting thing I found too, is that for several years, especially in the English Championship, which this is for the English Championship, over several years, clubs have been overspending on players and staff, which their expenses have exceeded their revenue, so they're paying more than they actually can. They're paying more than they actually have, because they want to get to the Premier League, and if they get to the Premier League, then it was all worth it because of the broadcasting money in it.
More revenue you get on more national broadcast television.
So I'm saying this because these teams that are paying that during the season paid more than what they can actually pay out are kind of screwed right now, because they're having to or I don't know if they worked out a deal or nothing. I haven't looked into that much, but you're still paying the salary of the player, but you're not getting the ticket sales and stuff like that.
Right.
And you're already behind the curve because your revenue is not exceeding your expenses. A cool stat I saw is that they
I thought stats don't matter.
Oh, stop it. Calm down there. Just in football. But one of these, I forgot who it was, but someone did a study and they asked 18 championship clubs, so the second division clubs in England, what's the highest paid player in a team, and then they averaged it out. And what do they get paid a month? And that was 125,000 roughly pounds a month. Like that's a lot of pounds to give out to your highest player per month. Especially if you're not playing games. And in League One, which is the third division, here's the thing: in America, there's no money in the third, and most of those players actually don't get paid at all once you get to the fourth division.
Right.
So second division players get paid in America. Third division gets paid like very little, and once you get to fourth division, they don't get anything actually. But going back to that, the highest average earner in League One was actually 200. Actually, I might have messed up these numbers, but no, I actually did it right. But their highest person makes 247,000 pounds a month in League One. So that's the third division making that much. And in League Two, it was 114,000 pounds a month. And that was out of 14 clubs, and then out of League One, it was 15 clubs. So I'm just trying to say those numbers is that they have, just because they're the lower level clubs, they have these big expenses to pay.
Right.
And they can't really do that. Now, kind of counter arguing to that, that was based off the highest paid players in each club.
Right.
So obviously not every player is getting that. So like for example, in the championship, there's players that receive like 13,000 pounds for the whole season, which obviously is not that much if you're a club or an organization paying out. And in League One, I think another example they used was a player only got like 7,500 pounds for a season. So they obviously have little expenses when it comes to, the other players. But when you're talking about their best players, if you're giving out 100 to 200 pounds a month when you're making absolutely no revenue, this is why we're talking about this right now.
Right.
Is because it's the huge reason why you're gonna unfortunately see some teams probably fold and go into bankruptcy. So it's really sad for the fans and the players, because then those players don't have a home to go to.
Right.
I was reading an article as well about this, and it's like the journalist was writing about, it's so sad that some of these 16 or 17-year-old kids or 20-year-old players don't really realize this. He talked about how some of the younger academy kids were saying like, oh great, we have some time off right when this thing was starting, but they don't realize that this possibly could be the last time they really play at that level.
Because if their club goes bankrupt, they can't pay the players. They're basically free agents now, and they could go wherever. And let's be honest here, the odds of the lesser known players in these divisions finding a home on a new team,
especially right now in
this climate, is going to be very rare. And that's going to put a lot of people out of work.
Yeah, and I think I think the clubs are still paying the players as of right now, but
I wouldn't how long they can keep going on for.
So basically, what the League One chairman Andy Holt was saying is that it makes absolutely no sense to play without no fans because you're not going to survive.
Right.
So he's like, why would you keep spending the money now to play the games when you know
you don't have the money to spend?
When you don't have the money to spend,
yeah,
if you can
and you're not getting any revenue back for it.
So like League One, League Two, and even the National League, which is the 5th division, have like serious like planning to do if they really want to make it work because the TV money's not there and they need the ticket sales to survive. So
unless they come up with some broadcast agreement, because they could do that technically if they wanted to. They could come up with some broadcast agreement.
You're right, Steve.
To make the money.
But the thing is, you're not going to have
a lot of viewers. The only people that would really watch those divisions are people that are
fans.
The fans.
Yes,
that
exactly.
know the teams. Yes.
And I'm sure they probably have some sort of streaming, either that they stream it themselves or they go through like a lower end streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking about. So streaming rights aren't as expensive and stuff as the TV rights, the broadcasting rights.
Right.
So I'm sure they have people that stream the games and things like that. But I'm sure the broadcasting rights where the money is, and that's when I talked about the last 92 matches. Premier League would make 762 million pounds out of it. That's why they want to give back.
Right.
That the English 1 and English 2 leagues have nowhere near that money in broadcasting. I'm sure they have some broadcasting deal in place, but it's not.
It
can't be as lucrative as what the Premier League is making. It's just not.
Right.
And even if the chairman's saying that, and like the chairman went on Twitter and said this, he's like, there's just no reason to, it sparked a little controversy. But at the same time, it's like, why should that spark controversy if it's right? You're just going to run the league into the ground anyway if you play without fans.
Right.
And there's going to be no league to play. So he's like,
then
we shouldn't play it off.
He's
like, we shouldn't play it off. We can't have fans.
Right. And it makes sense. Plus, it's not the same atmosphere. It's basically like telling a pro athlete they achieved their dreams playing in front of millions of people or thousands of people, however many.
I'm about to say, not millions.
Not millions. But if you get to those top leagues, then it's millions of people. You dream about that for forever, and now it's kind of
maybe on TV.
Yes, yeah.
But I was like, you can't fit a million people in this.
That opportunity is basically just taken right out of your hands if you keep this league going. You're working towards it, but at the same time, it's kind of a double-edged sword. If you continue the season going on without fans, you get to play, you get to showcase your skills, but odds are you're not going to have the money and revenue from since there's no broadcasting rights.
Yeah, no, you're right, and it's a tricky situation. I'm glad I don't have to figure it out. But it's just hard because you know me, I love soccer so much, and I follow more. I mean, past the Premier League, it's more English Like I'll follow English Championship a little bit, and I don't really follow League 1 and League 2, which is the 3rd and 4th division of soccer, because if they get to League 2 and there's a team that if there's a team from League 3 that gets to League 2, like I'll notice them and then they move up. So I don't really keep track, but like you'll never hear great stories then of these teams that start from the 5th division and make their way to the league championship, even if they don't even get to the Premier League.
Right.
That's a great story in itself. A team starting in the 5th division or even lower. I mean, in England, it goes lower than that. It goes to probably, I think, around 8 divisions. Mm-hmm. I think the 8th division is the lowest one. I mean, when the fans take great pride in every time their team gets promoted. Trust me.
Right.
It was like the end of the world when Leeds United didn't get into the Premier League for the fans. And that's what it is. And the same feeling happens if you're in League 1 getting to the English Championship. And if that feeling that arises from it. And then it just grows their fandom. And it's hard because you're not... Hopefully there will be... It would be stupid to say there's not going to be some collateral and some organizations and clubs aren't going to go bankrupt. Because most likely there will be, especially in the lower leagues.
Which sucks to say, and it's terrible.
Yeah, but hopefully there will be the clubs that can somehow survive during it and keep it going, because soccer, I've always been torn because basketball is my love too, but soccer is the most beautiful sport in the world just to watch.
It's a beautiful game.
And it brings people together.
It's a beautiful game.
All shapes, sizes, colors, like it just brings people together, and no matter what division it's played in.
Although if you lose, you could argue that it tears you apart.
It does. It hurts a lot of people when you lose, trust me, but it's just
there's some stories.
Sad
we'll let your imagination run on what some people could do to other people in the soccer leagues. There's stories out there. We're not going to get too graphic here, But
soccer fans are great. I mean, they drink some beer and have fun and yell at their teammates. I mean, it's awesome, and that's all my goal this summer was definitely to go over to Europe and see a soccer game, but kind of coronavirus got in the way of it. But yeah, that's kind of, it's just, I guess finally to put it all in one kind of statement, it's just, it sucks because the broadcasting rights aren't there for these lower leagues, and some of them are going to go. But hopefully the passion of soccer can stay on in the clubs that do make it in these lower leagues. And hopefully these lower leagues can keep the jobs for not only the players but the staff inside the organization and the clubs, and give fans something to enjoy as well. And for the clubs that do fold, hopefully, you know, in a couple of years they can somehow try to pick it back up in some form or some way. I feel like it would be really unjust to penalize a team that's gone bankrupt because of coronavirus, saying like they don't have to, you can't be in this league, but at the same time the leagues have to function with what they have. So it's going to be really interesting to see it's really interesting to see what's happening now, but to see in the next 3 to 5 years, those teams, if they go bankrupt and they want to come back in, how's that process going to be?
Well, obviously we don't want to keep talking about some sad news. We want to make it more happy, so we've got a little exciting news we want to bring to you guys. We're going to turn this into a more of an IGTV thing to get some more visuals, some YouTube stuff, but we're going to call this segment The Great Debates, and each time we have this, we're going to debate some debate of some kind, sports-related. So,
well, I hope sports-related.
Yes. We're a sports podcast.
I don't want to debate politics up in here. But
that's true.
Sports are politics at the same time. But we won't. Well, there's a different one. Different.
We're not going to get into politics here. No. So, what we're going to start with, as a little tease for it, is everyone's heard... what is it? Mary.
Stop that.
That
bench
thing?
cut.
Yes, I know, but I'm saying that's the pop culture version. It's similar to that, but better because it's sports related.
Okay, I don't want you to say.
I know. I didn't want to say any of the other words, but I said if you know that, I guarantee you know that game. I'll just put it like that. So we're gonna do start, bench, trade with some of the top soccer players at their positions. So we're going to start with the strikers. Start, bench, trade between Sergio Aguero, Harry Kane, Robert Lewandowski.
You're putting me on the spot here.
Because this is tough. All these guys are perennial goal scorers.
If this was a real scenario, this would be stupid. Because you'd keep all of these guys, and you'd probably start at least 2 of them and use one of them off the bench.
Right. This is more but this is obviously.
I think
for the debate,
it's really hard for me because Kane, I think outside the box is a more tactically finisher from outside the box. He can really hit it with power. I think
Lewandowski has a better header and is a better aerial attacker than the other two as well.
And I also Lewandowski, he comes up in big moments.
Right, exactly.
Like really big moments. Like stoppage time, you need a goal to time the game. Like you're
going to him.
Yeah.
But you could argue the same thing with Aguero.
Yeah,
Aguero had a game-winning goal too.
His ability to make runs off the ball and create space is something that he does phenomenally well, especially when you get into the final third of the pitch and he's making runs.
Some of the best movement off the ball from a striker in the world.
And of course it helps when he's got De Bruyne, feeding him the ball and things of that nature when he's got great passes on his team, but he's got to make the runs and finish the ball, so he's fantastic at that, and he's super fast where it's hard to keep up with him. It's like Harry Kane obviously is not as fast, but I think he has more ability to hold up the ball.
Yeah, he's stronger, he's bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good with not as good as Lewandowski, but he's good with his headers too. I think more than Aguero. So it's kind of hard for me, but I think I would. I think if you put a gun to my head, Steven, I think I'd probably start.
If I put a gun, I'm not gonna do that.
It's just a figure of speech.
Tell me now,
guys. He's got me. But I think what I'll do is. Man,
it's tough. I know.
It's tough because it's like either way, I'm gonna get roasted by the couple people listening to this. But I think I would start Harry Kane. I think you might be interested by that, but I just think he's so well rounded. Like he doesn't have weaknesses to his game.
Right.
Has he not shown up in some games? Yes.
Yes.
But for the most part, like 95% of the games he plays in, you can rely on that guy to get you a goal, basically.
Yeah.
And if he
He's
doesn't,
won the Golden Boot on multiple occasions.
Exactly. He
Multiple
has eyes for the back of
Yeah.
the net, and there's no doubt about it. And it's also like he does other stuff on the pitch that like besides scoring goals. Like he'll track back and do things like that, and be a presence in the box that gets 2 or 3 bodies on him.
The one thing I will say about these 3 guys, one of them has not won anything major. 2 of them have.
And that's Kane.
Kane has not won any. I do not believe has won anything major.
That's true.
He has not won the Premier League. He has not won Champions League. He came close this year.
Yeah. He did come really
He
close.
came very close this year.
Yeah, and I think it will be coming because he's mid to high 20s, right, Harry Kane?
I am not sure. I could check.
But we can look it up. It's the power of technology.
I could fact check.
But
that for
anyway,
you.
while you're looking that up, I would say Lewandowski is my bench, and then I'll trade Aguero.
26 years old, Harry Kane is.
Wow, he's way younger than I thought.
He's way younger than I thought.
Oh my
exactly.
god, he looks so old, and he talks like So, so that even makes my pick more because I'd rather keep him. Lewandowski's older. I'd like his experience
so is
off the bench.
Aguero. I think Aguero's pushing
he's
late 20s.
He's either late 20s or literally 30.
Yeah.
But I also think a reason I would trade Aguero is because you could get really good trade value for him. You were talking about,
or you could get good trade value
of
for
course,
any of these guys.
Of course. But I think a lot of people love Aguero's style.
To be fair, maybe we should change the name to Start Bench Sell.
Yes, that's a better
because in soccer you sell players, you don't trade them necessarily.
Yeah,
but yes,
I would, you could get another club. I mean,
you could still get a lot of money
before coronavirus.
Yes,
because one of the things that's going to happen because of the coronavirus
is transfers.
The transfer fees and stuff like that are going to be way down, and like the prices and the salaries for players are going to be way down. Because there's just less money right now.
So do you think players would take less money to go somewhere else if they didn't want to stay in the same situation?
Well, I think players have done that before coronavirus.
That is true.
You know, if they're going into a situation they like or a club they've always wanted to play for, or things like that.
But
I would sell Aguero. I'm saying you could probably get 80 million pounds to 100 million pounds for Aguero. I mean, what do you think? At least 60. I mean,
yeah.
Before coronavirus, I'm saying like
you
there's a lot of money.
For Sergio
so I think I would start Kane, even though like you said I think he's due to win some sort of trophy in the next year or 2 years at least. Lewandowski, strong force off the bench, and then I'd get a lot of money for Aguero.
I think mine's almost similar to yours, except I'm gonna put Louis Bendowski over Harry Kane. So I'm gonna have him start, Kane be on my bench, and sell Aguero. And Aguero is one of my favorite players in the world. So this is hard for me to say. But since Aguero's pushing on the age,
that's the biggest thing.
That's the biggest thing.
Because
Harry Kane's
Aguero's honestly, he's been linked to some MLS clubs too, I think.
I think you're thinking of David Silva, the midfielder from Manchester City.
Am I thinking of David Silva?
I know
he's
Silva,
been.
No, but
he's
he's on the older side. He's like 34 and has had talks about going to the MLS for 2 or 3 years
Aguero has had
now.
talks with other clubs that maybe not
Atletico Madrid. I think that he's had because
okay.
That's where he started. Got sold. I think he was then sold to Manchester, and he could end up just going back to Atletico.
I've heard from a lot of players that playing actually in Manchester. They just came out with this a couple of weeks ago. Excuse me. Playing in Manchester, the players that aren't from England or London, like hate playing there because it's like rainy, it's cloudy all the time and stuff like that. Yeah, but they love the fixture, the fans screaming, it's packed. They love playing the games, but like living there actually sucks they say, which is interesting.
So moving on to our next group of start, bench, sell now.
Start, bench.
We're choosing between some of the best central midfielders in the world. I know you're high on one of this one young guy that I put in this list. So start, bench, sell between Kevin De Bruyne, Eden Hazard, and Frankie De Jong.
Well, it's honestly you understand soccer. It's like depending on the situation,
right?
Each of these players has a special.
And it depends on what formation you want to use,
absolutely.
what their specialty is.
So even like I can say who I want. It's so much up for speculation or like.
And plus, these
Like, if you
players are
gave me
so closely related in talent. Like there's not a wide margin in between.
If you gave me like a scenario, it probably would be easier.
Right.
Because like for Eden Hazard, for example, if we're trying to attack and push up the field, I'm going with Eden Hazard. But if we're starting out, I'm going with Kevin De Bruyne, and using him center defensive midfield so he can push up sometimes. And just dominate and control the game with his passing ability.
I do not think there's a better passer in the world than Kevin De Bruyne.
He puts it right
now.
where you need it. Yeah.
He does it with both feet. Something that not even at this level, not a lot of players are able to do. And he's able to make a pinpoint pass with both feet.
Also, I would say too is that when you need it, when he needs to for Manchester City, he'll take on the scoring responsibility,
but he doesn't need to
and try to hit one from the top of the box.
So that's why you don't see a lot of times Kevin De Bruyne getting a lot of goals. It's more assists.
Well, he's also unselfish. He's
so unselfish. Yes.
So kind of going off what you said, I think I would start Kevin De Bruyne because, like you said, I agree with that. I would put him as my starter. If he's not the best passer in the world, he's at least top five. and I think mostly top 3.
And he's got a very underrated shot outside the box.
I do think that.
He has the few goals he has, some of them are just absolutely incredible. Free kicks.
Can I just say something right now? Is what Steven's talking about and how his free kicks and his shots are sick. What we'd want to do with like the IGTV or the YouTube thing is show highlights of the players and kind of make it more of a visual thing of like, this player can do this or that player can do that, and then like have you guys debate about it too after the fact that we do the episode. Sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to say that.
So once we're able to show you that, you'll be able to see some of these cool plays that we're saying, like some of these incredible plays.
Yeah. Now going back to the
debate,
start, bench, sell, right?
I think I'm benching Frankie, to tell you the truth. He's young. He's very talented with Barcelona now.
I think we might be doing the same thing. I think we are.
And then selling Eden Hazard.
That's what. Yes. So the reason I would say here's my reason. Well, I'd bench Frankie De Jong because Barcelona. I mean, from Ajax, he proved himself as a young 18, 19-year-old. And looked phenomenal. He did. Honestly, he's not as good as Kevin De Bruyne.
He was one of the main reasons they went for Ajax making far in the UEFA Champions League.
And they knocked off Juventus with Ronaldo.
And that is very impressive.
Yes. And he didn't look like an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid on the pitch.
And let me tell you,
like
Ajax,
a mature
Ajax is like an every once in a while type team to make the Champions League.
It is, but like recently they've been really good and have really good talent, and then they sell off that talent. They're making
the Ajax is today's Monaco. You remember a few years ago when Monaco just had all these young talented players. FC Porto.
Yep.
You could argue Dortmund too, except Bayern takes all the old Dortmund players.
That's true.
So.
They really do take all the old Dortmund players. But Frankie De Jong, he's almost like a younger Kevin De Bruyne to me.
Right.
And I think he still has a lot of room to grow, which is the scary part.
He's our age. He's literally our age.
Yeah, no, he's younger than us. Yes, he's younger than us. Now I think he's 20, but regardless, it's insane.
At least. Oh, actually, technically, I was gonna say at least we can drink, but he can too because it's 18.
Yes, 18 there. Yeah. But going off to why I would sell Eden Hazard because he's bounced around a couple clubs recently. I don't think his form has been the best as what his top form. Like when he's at Chelsea, he was like Chelsea. It's
I would say around the last 2 years of Chelsea was when you started to see his production dip a little bit.
Yeah, and then he went to Barca and it didn't turn out.
I think he's at Real Madrid now. You mean Eden Hazard? I don't think he ever went to Barcelona.
I'm sorry. He was in talks to go to Barca.
Yeah, he was in talks to it, but he ended up going to Real.
And then he went. Now he's at Bayern Munich.
He is at Bayern Munich now.
Yeah, you can look that up too. I think I know my stuff.
I believe you, but I did not hear that.
I really doubt it because I'm pretty sure he's at Bayern Munich right now. So don't tell me I'm wrong.
Let me see.
Am I right? Tell me I'm right.
No, you're wrong.
Where is
He's still on Real Madrid.
He is at Real Madrid.
He is on Real Madrid.
Was Bayern Munich trying to buy him?
I could check. I could tell you the news. Let's see. Late breaking news with Stephen Villani.
But anyway, his form has declined in the past 2 to 3 years. So and like even at Real Madrid, I don't even think he got consistent playing time.
It does not look like they have any plans to sell Eden Hazard.
But I don't think before the coronavirus thing.
I don't think.
I don't really even think he was playing. To be honest, I think he was on the bench or coming off the bench.
Yeah, he did have an injury. True. He was coming off of an injury this year.
I have no idea why I thought Bayern Munich for a sec.
because Bayern Munich has a bunch of good players as well. And they buy a bunch of good players.
That's true.
Except they're smart about it, unlike some teams, and just overspend. I'm not gonna say who, but I think you could correctly assume. If you're up to date on soccer, you know who I'm talking about.
But so start Kevin De Bruyne, bench Frankie De Jong, and sell Eden Hazard.
I'm in agreement with that. I think that usually these debates are going to be more debatey back and forth.
Well, the first one we kind of debated it pretty.
Yeah, but because this one is just.
Well, also soccer, it's you can have a you appreciate like all three of these guys. I can appreciate in a different way.
Yes,
and
that's just because of the the If you look in American sports media, we're taught to be able to have to compare these greats, like LeBron and MJ.
Who's the best?
Who's the best? Like who's the best hitter in the MLB? Who's the best quarterback in the NFL? Tom Brady or Peyton Manning? Stuff like that. But soccer, you appreciate each player for their specific greatness and their specific set of skills, which is just something different compared to what's normally in America, and we're debating who's like all this other stuff.
Yeah, no, of course. But we hope this is a little sneak peek.
Yeah, so this is a little sneak peek we wanted to give you guys. We hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully, we'll have more out soon. We're excited. I have a bunch of ideas here for our start bench trade for other sports as well.
Yeah, and we definitely. I think the NBA ones will be a little more heated for sure, and some NFL ones will be more heated.
Yeah, the NFL ones will be
heated. But soccer's just a beautiful game. You can't
get
heated about it.
You can't get heated about soccer.
It just makes you smile.
Actually, you can.
Well, you can if your team's losing.
If your team's losing.
It is not a happy sport, let me tell you. Especially to the rival. But that kind of wraps it up here. I know we really thought this soccer topic wasn't going to be long, but it ended up going pretty long, and I'm happy because I love it.
Yeah,
but
we haven't talked soccer in a while.
Yeah, so hopefully we can give you guys some more visual stuff like this. The great debates. Excuse me, I can't even know the own title, the name. But yeah, so stay tuned, guys. Check out the website basement-sports-talk.com. And follow social media accounts. We're posting some new stuff on there, like the great debates. And hopefully you guys are having fun and being safe during quarantine.